One of my core beliefs is that some of the greatest art, whether it's books, music, films, anything that is related to creativity, often are not created and put out to the world because they are stuck in the minds of people who are too fearful to create. And I think it's really unfair for those ideas to be stuck up there and oftentimes die with you when you go versus them being put out to the world and being able to be out in the world forever. And so today I want to talk about the three things I think often are stopping people from being creative and have stopped me for a long time. It's something I very much so struggle with. And three solutions that have really helped me begin to unlock my creativity and are now supporting me in my journey to really embracing all of the things that I want to make in this life. So, the first thing that often makes people become fearful and just keep their ideas hidden is the judgment of other people. This is very common, very easy to fall victim to, and I'm guilty of it as well. For me, it started in middle school. I, as a kid, loved making videos. I loved on the weekends just making anything and everything. They didn't make sense. If I went back and showed you any of these videos right now, you would laugh at them because they're just so bizarre, but I was having fun. I was a kid. I was like 8 to 10 to 13. I was young, just trying things, just exploring different skits, technology videos, gaming videos, like anything and everything. And I was just making what I wanted to. And then in middle school, there was a point where one of my videos caught a little bit of traction and people from my school found them, which today probably wouldn't be a big deal whatsoever. But for me, when I was in middle school, YouTube was not what it is today. People did not make videos all that often. I was, I think, the only kid in my school that was making videos, whereas now it's very normal for anybody and everybody around you to at least make like TikToks and stuff. But YouTube was really odd to see someone that you knew on there. And so at the time I had been found that I made videos, and the people that found it decided to start poking fun at me and started to tell other people. So it spread throughout the school that I made videos, and there was a point where even teacher made a little bit of a like funny joke at me about recording things. And that was the moment where it set in that I was like, okay, like I'm pretty nervous about this. Like this feels kind of embarrassing. And even though I love this, like I'm going to start to retreat back a little bit. And I've gone through different phases in my life where I'll push through this. And you're probably the same, where you'll go through times you're like, I'm going to make stuff, and you'll try to make stuff, but then you never pursue it long enough to, get it to where you want it to be. And then you fall victim to being fearful and keeping all your ideas up in your head because of the judgment of other people. So I just wanted to share, like, that's my personal experience. And I think that's for a lot of people. It's like in middle school, in high school, like just the fear from those around you not liking what you're making, not thinking it's cool enough, just all of those fears setting in. And honestly, like, it's pretty sad. Like, now that I'm way out of high school, I just like wish I could go back to my younger self and tell him, like, hey, it is okay. So that's definitely the first thing that I think holds a lot of us back. The second one is, while social media is amazing for the accessibility to valuable information and just creating community, the downside of it is that it's really easy to fall into a comparison trap with other people around you. And you can see those who are not as fearful of creating what they're putting out there, and you often might say, like, well, I can't really make something like that. Like, I don't know if I can pull that off. And so I might as well just not try because I don't want to look silly, right? And then that goes back to the fear of judgment from other people. And so it's really easy to get caught in a comparison trap and just end up not moving forward. The other thing that often ends up becoming a big reason why people don't create is that they overcomplicate it. Is a really big issue of mine, and something that a lot of people end up doing is wanting to have everything perfect, have all the right tools, all of this stuff, and yet they do that and they still aren't creating anything, or they take forever to do it and they never feel like they have everything to start. And so to me, that's the third thing that really holds me back from creating, and or has in the past, and holds a lot of people back. And so if that relates to you, then you know what position you're in, and it's not a great one. Like, you probably have brilliant ideas that would be super awesome to be out in the world, but you're just you're fearful of people's opinions. You're comparing yourself to other people that you feel like are ahead of where you're at, and you're overcomplicating it because it also becomes like an excuse because you're not ready. So what's the solution? I want to talk about the three different things. I say three, might just end up being a handful of other ones, but three core things that have helped me in my journey to really just exploring my creativity. That's been helpful. So the first thing related to the judgment of other people, the one thing that's helped me is to realize you have a favorite artist, favorite filmmaker, favorite chef, whatever it might be, right? However, they have people that hate them, that do not like them, that give them negative comments on their posts, that would talk poorly about them in public, but you love them. And the difference is that while they get all those negative comments, they keep going. And so I think it's easy to be like, oh, if you look at someone that's really successful, like they've got it all made, and it's like, no, they also have people that like don't love their stuff. They just don't choose to listen to them. And so there's obviously a lot of thick skin involved that you have to build, if people were to be mean to you. I'd never understand why people are rude online. It never I think it's just definitely more of a, on them versus something wrong with you or what you're putting out. But in general, it's important to notice that everybody has criticism coming their way, but those who choose to ignore it are the ones that you end up putting on a pedestal to be like, well, they've made it, it's probably easy for them to overlook it. But it's like, I bet you they also had these comments on their journey along the way, and they just chose to not listen to it because they choose to take feedback from people that they value the opinions of. Typically, if anybody's being negative to you, I bet you 10 out of 10 times you wouldn't be going to them for advice or feedback in the first place. And so if you can make that mindset switch, it becomes really easy to ignore them. I say really easy. It does take time. I'm still not perfect with it, so maybe not really easy, but it becomes easier and it becomes manageable, which is really where you want to be, because I don't want that to stop you from creating anything at all. It's really just not fair to yourself. The second thing when it comes to the comparison trap of social media is the realization that it is not a competition. When you look at things through a competitive lens, it really just gets in the way of what you actually want to do. It's do you want to make a film because you want to make a film that's better than this person, this person, this person? Or do you have a story that you're really passionate about that you hope to put out and impact people with and change their lives? I feel like 10 out of 10 of you would say, I want to make a film that's going to impact people's lives, not to make a film over here better than somebody. And obviously, there are awards and stuff that make it feel like it's a little bit of a competition, but typically the people that are winning awards in these things say it's really not a competition. And when I made that switch, I started to be okay with sharing where I'm at and sharing what I'm creating, because I also realized the people that I'm putting on a pedestal to be like, oh, they're making such great things, I don't think I could ever get to that quality. They got to that quality because they did not stop. They did not fall into this trap of comparing myself or comparing themselves to other people online. I think instead look at it as inspiration and opportunity to learn from them and improve on your own craft, but not, they're so much better than me, there's no reason for me to show up. Because the way that you create something and the way that someone that you think is really great creates something is going to be different. And there's going to be so many people that love the way you create stuff that just don't connect with these other people that right now you're saying, well, they're too good at it, I shouldn't even try. That's really, really important to know. The other point here related to overcomplicating the creative process is to challenge yourself to set constraints and start small. It is very overwhelming to say, I am going to write a book. When you say that, you will get no words on the paper unless you just have incredible willpower. But generally, it's really hard to get started on that. Instead, you say, I'm going to show up and I'm going to write for 5 minutes, or I'm going to aim for 300 words, or I'm going to write for an hour. Whatever constraint you want to start with that you can commit to, That is all you need to do. And if you do that every single day, brick by brick is kind of the way that people explain it. You know, you will build out your book brick by brick, page by page. No one sits down and writes a whole book in one sitting. That unless they're, you know, if someone does that, congrats to you. I could not pull that off. But instead, for me, as I've started to work on projects like books I want to write, instead of saying I'm going to write a whole book, it's like, well, let me write a couple pages. Let me write the opening. Let me write a chapter here and there. That's a crazy. I'm going to leave that in. My light just started to malfunction, so some tech issues. And in the past, that would make me, stop this recording and start all over, and I'd have to maybe get discouraged. I'm just going to keep it going. Because honestly, this video is starting small for me. I was like, I'm going to turn a video on, hit record, one take, no editing, just going to record it, and I'm gonna put it up, because I was overcomplicating getting the perfect setup, doing some editing, animation, music, all that stuff. And while it's going to be fun in the future, it's not necessary to start. And that is one of the biggest things that's been freeing for me with creating stuff, is just setting constraints, sticking to them for a good while until you feel like you're good where you are with that, and then changing the constraints, because that is where growth can continue to happen. Those are 3 things that get in the way of people creating, and 3 solutions. I hope that all of those are helpful to you. Hopefully at least one of them are. And I'm curious if there's other things that get in your way, or, are other solutions that help you kind of get out of your head and start to make the things that you want to. I'd be curious to hear from, any of you on other things that have worked for you. This is a brand new show that I'm exploring doing, where we're just going to dive into all things creativity, the creative process, and just talking about it from all angles, because I love this topic. I love helping people really unlock their creativity, and honestly, making this is while it's not only to be valuable for other people, it's also for me to help hold me accountable and keep going, because it's the best thing that I do for myself when I can set a constraint and stick to it and make something. And I want to help other people do the same. So thank you so much for watching. This is the first episode of something, and we'll see what it turns into. But thank you for being here, and thank you for watching.